Welcome to the Every Brain is Different podcast. It is Samantha and Lauren here with you, and today we are with Linda Silbert. And through her tutoring and test prep company, Strong Learning Incorporated, Dr. Silbert has worked with students from pre-K through college, helping them unlock their full academic potential. She has also developed more than 100 resources for parents and teachers with a special focus on reading intervention rooted in the science of reading. So, Dr. Silbert, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah. And can you tell us a little bit more about how you're involved in the neurodivergent community?
Okay. As I said, I have a PhD in educational counseling, and we have a private practice. And I've been working for, I shouldn't say 50 years, with these students and with all types of whatever. I know what I hate to label everyone. I keep saying, no, you are who you are. This is so wonderful. And I always say to parents, don't have a fantasy of some other child. This is who you have, and they're wonderful. And the kids will sit and they'll go, I am. And they'll send the parents will say, well, we tell, no, you don't. You keep saying I'm lazy, or you're this, you're that, you're so forgetful, you just keep yelling. They go, no, we don't. But they do. And I think part of my problem, after all these years, I have written a book. It came out last week. It's on Amazon. Why good kids get bad grades. What parents need to know and do. And number one, stop looking at the grades. Take the grade as a symptom and now find out what's wrong. Okay, you don't have a rash and then go, oh, that's it, you're punished. That's it. No more phone. No, you're not going to the party. That's not going to help. If the child isn't doing well in school, because every human being wants that gold star. I don't care who they are, what they are, how old they are. Everybody wants that feeling of self, just to feel good. And if something happens and you see a grade and you go, oh my gosh, we studied all night and you forgot what we were doing, or you didn't hand that in after blah, 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 blah. Sit down, become their ally. You're not the adversary, you're their ally. Sit with them and figure out together what went wrong. You know, you always come through. You do a great job. So let's see what happened. And I'll help you walk through it. That's my purpose in life.
Yeah, and it could be that they are struggling academically or socially, and that, that impacts being at school and student work, or just behaviorally or whatever. I know my son, we brought him home to homeschool him this school year. And before, when he would take his tests at school, he would get very poor scores on the state tests, like in the single digit percentiles, And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he was struggling with reading, but then we brought him home to homeschool, and it's not like we're amazing homeschool parents. It's not like we've gone above and beyond in the academic department. We have just been focusing on his mental health, but we have done schoolwork. He scored in the 94th percentile on the state test, on the latest test that he did. And I truly believe it's because his nervous system isn't in fight or flight when he's taking the test. His nervous system has relaxed, and so that allows him to take the test the way that he knows he can take it. And so, yeah, I think that's important, that because when he was younger, he needed, what's it called, vision therapy, because he did have some vision processing issues. And so we had to get that figured out. But being at school put him in a state of fight or flight to an extent that I did not even realize until we brought him home and I saw how relaxed he was. And so I'm not saying that homeschool is the answer for parents, but just looking at, is it academic? Is it social? Is it their nervous system? What's going on that grade, that bad grade, is coming out? Because like you said, kids don't want to get bad grades. They don't.
Nobody does.
Nobody does.
Nobody
And so it might be a mixture of all of them. Like, I know some kids are bullied in school, And
Mhm.
so, is there a bullying situation going on at school where they can't focus in the classroom because they're so worried about the bully? Or
Yep.
you just really have to be a detective.
You j
So,
Yep.
yeah.
And
So
being
let's
involving. Wow.
yes,
Good
yeah,
for
and
you.
just be
Oh,
an advocate for them.
yeah.
And when you go into an IEP meeting, say, okay, they're not testing where they should be. What can we do? What do you see going on at the school? And then you can say, I hear them reporting this when they get home. And so I think that way you can really bring out what's going on. Like, is it an academic issue? Is it a social issue? Is it a sensory issue? I think you just have to work together as a team and not go into the school accusing them of not doing what they need to do for your kid, even if they're not doing anything appropriate for your kid. I think the school doesn't want to cause issues either. They're just doing their best. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, where if you go in with like a collaborative attitude instead of an accusatory attitude, then they're more willing to work with you.
Yes. Yes. You know what? Were you in my book? I met you before I could have quoted you my book.
Yeah.
The entire book is talking about everything you said because I've worked now for 50 years with hundreds and hundreds of all ages and just watching what's happened with the parents. The parents' reaction is always to blame. They're blaming the school. And I always say to them, interesting. I have some other kids from that same school. They seem to be doing okay. So let's see what's happening here. Let's just see. You have to find out what's happening. What is the cause? And as you said, it's emotional, it's social, it's academic, it's bullying. I have to, I'm just throwing it on the side. My son, it's my son, he's 56, but he wrote a book and I wanted him to write, he's a TV producer, and I wanted him to write a book about school, just something funny. Well, he wrote this book. It's called Burticus, How I Survived School and Bullies. And Farley Finnegan, who's the goody two-shoes, who always says, I bet you forgot the assignment. And of course he did, because these are the kids that bring home the assignment. They lost the book. They have the book. They can't find the book bag. It's total chaos. And they want that, they want that A plus just as much. So now they say to me, yeah, well, I don't really care. Teacher hates me anyway. And I always say to them, they told you that? They go, no. And you go, well, you think they hate you? Yeah. Yeah, they really hate me. It's very interesting. That relationship with the teacher, the relationship with the parent. I'm here in New York, and most people do not homeschool. And I am working with a little girl who's being homeschooled. I'm on Zoom with her. And she went from not reading a year and a half ago to now fourth grade level. She's now turned 12. And being in the school for her was a disaster. It just didn't work. Mom was a guidance counselor for 20 years in the school. And she said, I knew I was going to have a problem. I didn't know what to do. So I quit the job and decided to homeschool. And it's been now, she's one person I know that's doing this here, and it's working for her. But the mom is there. I'm with her. I have an entire reading program that I switched to games because the kids who have dyslexia and then they have ADHD, this double whammy. Okay. Those kids are sitting in school trying to still decode, and Susie Goody Two Shoes is next to them reading Harry Potter. Okay. And that's that Farley Finnegan in this book. And so it's just to help these kids know they're okay, they're fine. And the parent isn't, I hate to say parents sabotage sometimes. They literally sabotage. I remember a mom coming to, all I'm asking, he was a 10th grader, it's just a B. I just want a B. And I said, you know what? There's so many colleges around here. Go enroll in a course and get a B. Get your own B. You want to be that badly? Leave him alone because he's trying. He's got other issues. There's so many issues. And by the time you get past 9 years old, I hate to say this, it becomes emotional. And then you have a double whammy. So the child puts a shell around themselves and just to protect their ego. Okay. So they feel the parent is almost a parole officer. They're the police. The parent has to be the parent. They're allied. Otherwise, what happens, and I have an entire chapter on this, they start lying. I have had so many parents come in and say they're lying. They never told me there was a test. I said, why would they tell you? Because you're going to make them sit. They're only 9 years old. They're 12 years old. They're children. They don't want to sit. That's part of the problem. They don't think ahead. They're thinking of now. If I tell mommy and daddy I have to write this paper, they're going to make me sit here. And I want to go out and everybody's on their bikes and everyone's at a ball game and they're children. And so that was my purpose of writing is why good kids get bad grades.
Yeah. So if a parent realizes that they've been like this and they want to better support their kid, what would you suggest they start with, or how can they start kind of changing their ways?
Okay, it's a biggie because I've been all these years with all these parents. They have to accept the fact that this is who they have. They have to accept the fact that maybe they did something to create this friction between them because school can come in like a wedge and just separate the whole family. Okay, so everyone has to accept it. They then have to sit down with their child and actually say, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that this was what was happening. And say, you know what? Let's all sit with your teacher, with your counselor, with whoever that you have in school. And let's sit down and figure out what went wrong. You got a 46 on the science test. Instead of grounding you and being angry, Daddy and I, or Mommy and I, have decided we're not going to do that. We're going to go to school and let's figure out, because usually the parents will say, did you study? Yes. Well, how could you fail? Because they don't know how to study. Most
Yeah.
kids don't have a clue. I have an entire part 2 in the book, just how to study, what it means. And it doesn't mean hours. It means 15, 20 minutes, go out and shoot some baskets, go dance, go do something, get the oxygen going. And so if a parent feels they want to start changing to help, talk to your child and listen. Listen to what they're telling you. Because most kids are pretty honest. They're going to tell you. Okay. And they may not say, but I'm afraid that you and daddy are just going to go ballistic. I'm afraid, so I haven't told you. I hid the test. I didn't. Or they're going to say, I didn't know. No one told me there was a test. I didn't know about that project. Okay. And say, okay, that's fine. But let's start working together. How would you like this? Become their ally. And then contact the school and sit down together. Is it easy? No. My grandmother used to say, bringing up children is not eating an apple. It's not easy. And you've got to put in a lot of time. And some of the parents would leave and say to me, but I don't have your patience. I said, well, then get someone who does. Is who in the family? Is there a grandma, a grandpa? Is there a sitter, a babysitter, a nanny, someone that can work with them? I mean, and if you can't afford an actual tutor to pay, call the high school. They always have high school kids. Make sure you're always home. Don't have high school kids in your house without you there. You have to see what's going on. And don't have them sit for 2 hours or sign them up after school to these programs. They're sitting in school all day. And then they go to these programs and they're sitting again. They have to go out and play. The brain has to develop.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting how you can, at least I've seen that if you study for, let's say, 20 minutes, like you were saying, your brain is going to keep thinking about it while you're doing other things. It's funny because I'll start a crossword puzzle in the morning and I won't be able to get some of them, but then my brain will be thinking about it all day without unconsciously.
Yeah,
And then I'll
yeah.
come back to it in the evening and I'll be able to do the answers because my
See
brain's
that?
been trying to work it out during the
Yes,
day.
yes.
And so, yes, the longer studying is not always helpful.
Yeah,
They
they've
need to
done
take
research on it.
breaks. Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
actually done research on it. The longer you study, the more the grades go down. Hours, it doesn't, cramming for a test, you're not going to do well because the brain can only process about 5 things at a time. That's it. That's why our zip codes are 5 digits. That's why, yeah, that's why our social security cards are threes, fours, fives. Look at our credit cards, look at our phone numbers. The only place they don't use this thing is in school. And
Yeah.
they go, really? That's big. That in school you have to know how the brain works. And when you get nervous, the actual dendrites at the end of the neuron shrink. So you know that feeling, your brain just goes blank, just
Yeah.
blank. I was sitting with, and I tell this to all my kids I'm tutoring. I'm telling them all about the brains and what's happening and why when they sit for the test they get so nervous. And just to breathe and just let them calm down. And now they're going to connect. And all of a sudden you go, oh, I've got it. I've got it. And said,
Yes.
you have to follow the brain, follow study skills that work, and doesn't mean more. It means make it into fun. Do I have time for one little story? This,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
okay, this mom was standing at my doorway one day with this little 7-year-old Peter. I'll never forget it. And he's standing and he wasn't reading at all yet. And of course, the poor mom is so anxious. And I know I'm a mom, grandma. It just doesn't ever stop. It just always worried. But I always think, okay, it's not about me, it's about them. So she's standing behind him. And Peter says, if I have to read or write when I come in your room, I'm not coming in. And the mother's behind him looking at me like, huh, the panic. And I said, oh, I don't blame you. You don't like it. He goes, no. So I said, would you play a game? He goes, yeah, like what? And he comes walking in, and I start grabbing index cards. It's before I wrote up all these games, and I cut them in half. And I said, and I took all the CVC words, sun and fun and fan, and I made up like 20 words, cut them in half, and we started playing memory. By the time his mom walked in, he picked up the cards and he was reading every card. And she said, Peter, you learned how to read. He goes, Ma, we didn't do any reading. We just played games. And this thing went in my head. I'm going, that's it. That's how to engage them. And I started making up, we call them super decks. They're all on my website. I have them following Orton-Gillingham. And you play, I have fluency ones, little sentences. And with every deck, they're $12.95 a deck. That's all they are. And you can play Go Fish, Memory, War, Crazy Eights, Bingo with the one deck. So when you practice, it's important to know that you have to do different things when you practice. They did studies that someone just sits and reads that same sheet over and over and over again. Or someone now sets it up as a game. Someone sets it up as something else, even playing basketball. They follow people who just stand in one place shooting, and they followed others in different positions. They did better. So you've got to mix things around. Okay.
Yeah.
And I learned immediately the minute those children, the anxiety goes down, once they start playing, the focus goes up, and they want to keep playing, the kids, and they want to win. My husband always says, you're cheating. I said, I know, don't tell. And I keep cheating. And the kids, I don't care if they're 12, 15 years old, they say to me, I feel so bad because you never win. I go home, it's okay, it's fine. Their confidence, they start to read. So
That's amazing.
fast? Is it fluent? It's slower, but they're reading and they feel so wonderful. But it's all these years here I've seen, it's just having the child know my mom and dad think I'm great. My teacher thinks I'm great. That does it.
Yes, absolutely. I've noticed, well, the research says that children learn through play, and so they learn things way faster than if it's just
Much
like a rote
faster.
skill. And so even in music therapy, if a kid doesn't want to participate in what I'm doing, I say, "Oh, do you want to play a game?" And they're like, "A game? Yeah, I want to play a game." And
Yeah.
so then I'll adapt the floor is lava We do a musical version of The Floor is Lava. We have a musical version of Memory, like all these different things.
Oh,
It's gamifying things really helps kids to want to participate more, and it makes it fun for them. So then they're learning better than if you just sat them down and said, okay, what's this word? Here's a flashcard.
exactly.
What's this word? Here's a flashcard. What's this word? It's not fun. So why would they want to do it? But if you gamify it, then like you said, they want to win. So they want to do the things that are in the game. And yes, that's genius.
It's just, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. And then I put together for fluency plays, little short plays with just the whichever phone they were working on. And they have their highlighters and they're giving out the parts. And then they want to play again. Then they want to be this person this time. They're suddenly in someone else's shoes and they forget themselves and they're playing again. And it is follow the child, follow
Yes.
the children, the children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh,
Can you just tell us, you told us a lot of resources. Where can people find you online to find your book, to find the decks, and then anything else you want to give a shout out to?
okay. Thanks so much. Go to stronglearning.com and there's my website. You'll see everything on that website. And also go on to Amazon. And Amazon, you can get Why Good Kids Get Bad Grades and also Burticus, How I Survived School and Bullies. Poorly Finnegan. It's this whole year through fifth grade. And he comes out of it surviving and made it. It happens to be hysterical, the book. It's very funny, but with heart. So yeah, go to Amazon and go to stronglearning.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And then our last question is, what do you do for fun?
Oh my goodness. Someone else asked me that on a podcast. I went to interesting. I love being with my grandchildren. And my two grandsons are already out of college and they're both in the city working. And so we're only an hour north. So we've been seeing them. And just to relax, crossword puzzles. Love when you said that crossword puzzle. I love cryptograms. I love crossword puzzles. Always have a jigsaw puzzle out in the house. So my two little grandchildren, one's 6 today, it's a birthday, and the other's 9. Every time they come in here, they know there's going to be a jigsaw puzzle out. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well,
So,
Thank you so much.
oh,
yes, thank you.
Oh, you were delightful.
Okay, so she was awesome. I just
Yes.
love her. And I loved everything that she said. And the whole time she was talking, it just made me also think of taking the pressure off your kids when they take a test. So one of my kids had to take the benchmark test, and it's like he's in the grade where it's like really, really important that they do well because it's tied to funding and schools, all of that. So the teacher was making a really big deal out of it. And he's, Mom, what if I don't do well? I'm like, then you don't do well. I said, you go in, you do your best. You're not going to get in trouble if you get like a bad
Yeah.
grade on it. And so just taking that pressure off, and I mean for any test, you
Yeah.
just say, go in, do your best. If you don't get the score you wanted, then you don't get the score you wanted. You just know that you
Mhm.
did your best. And he's, oh, so it's okay if I don't do well. And I'm like, if you go in and do your best, that's all I'm asking you to do.
Yeah, as
That's
long as
all
you
your teacher is
tried.
asking. Yeah. Yeah, that's all your teacher is asking you to do. If you just go in there and fill in the bubbles because you want to make a pretty pattern, you're
Or you just want to hurry up and finish and play.
yeah, or you just want to hurry up and play, like maybe don't do that. Maybe try. But if you do your best, that's all you can do. Even I know I got so stressed out in high school about getting good grades. Like I think I've said this before. I gave myself all the symptoms of diabetes in high school because of stress. And I know it was because of stress because the day I graduated, it all went away. And that was not my parents. My parents did tell me
To
you
chillax.
yeah, my mom was like, because my parents always said, get good grades. But then my mom did come to me my senior year and she said, if you get a B, you will be okay. It will be okay. Like, you don't have to get all A's, because I was stressing. I did get all A's, but it came at a cost to my mental health. And that was all on me. Like, my parents did not do that. I just want to make that clear, because they were really good at saying, just do your best. It's okay, you know? And I don't even know what I would have done if they would have been like, well, you have to get all A's. And if you don't get all A's, you're going to disappoint us. I would have been a basket case. Yeah. So just tell your kids, do your best. That's all you can ask them to do. And it's
Yeah.
okay. And if they don't get a score that they want, then they don't get the score. It's not life altering or ending or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just what I kept thinking of when she was talking about that. Because my son visibly relaxed when I said, just do your best. And he was like, oh, so that's okay? And I said, yeah, that's okay. And he went in, and I guarantee you he did better on that test than he would have done if I would have said, no, you need to get the highest score in the class. If you don't get the highest score in the class, then I'm going to be very disappointed in you. Like, what?
Yeah.
No. I'm not saying that, well, I hope parents don't do that, but that was an exaggeration. But anyway, what did you think? What were the highlights for you?
Loved it. I love the and I know parents mean well, but the accountability on the parents' part to look at what they themselves are doing, I think, is really important, because it's very easy to play the blame game on any and everything, especially the schools and the teachers, whether they deserve it or not. And so I think really looking in on yourself as a parent, what am I doing? What pressures am I putting on? Do I have unrealistic expectations? Things like that. Really looking at that. And then, you guys talked about it. Play is so important. And that is how kids learn. And so take advantage of it. Gamify what you can, because you're probably going to have a lot more success, because who doesn't want to play?
Yeah.
In the day, even as adults, who doesn't want to do something that's not work, right? And so kids are the same way. And so I like that, but I really appreciate the be your kid's ally. Don't be the problem, because sometimes you have a problem, whether you want to admit it or not, and just really kind of take a step back and really look at what might be. You talked about, is it social? Is it academic, the bullies, all of those things, because all those things do have impact, especially on kiddos, especially kiddos who are trying to make friends, who want to be cool, don't want to be left out. All of that stuff just piles on, and you ask them to take a test or read a book, and so yeah, I love it. Definitely go check out her stuff.
Yeah,
it sounds legit.
I love how she promoted her son's book more than her own. That was
She's a legit mom and Gma.
Yeah, I loved it.
Go check them both, but
yeah, I was just thinking of this. So my kids don't like to read typical chapter books, and so just if other parents need to hear this, I was reading an article, and it said, it does not matter what you read, because my kids really like reading comics.
Mm-hmm.
And the article said, just get your kids reading, whether it's a chapter book or the newspaper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just comic books, like, it all counts. It all counts as reading, and it's all great. And I'm like, oh, so it's okay that my kids just read comic books all the time, or, like Dog Man or Cat, something, whatever. Anyway, it's okay. And it's okay that they're, 11, 10 years old and not reading typical chapter books. They're still reading every day, and that's okay.
They're better than most adults.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So if you're a parent that needed to hear that because you were worried about your child's reading, there you go. You're welcome.
Read the back of the cereal box.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Just reading.
It's got words on it. It's fine.
Counts. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
Anyway. Okay, we will be back next week, and I hope you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
Hi, guys.